Welcome, everybody, to Maximizing Your Chirp Deal. We're excited to be here and excited to have you all here. Wanted to lay out a couple ground rules and just kind of give you a sense of what we're going to be doing here. We will have time at the end for questions and answers. You'll see at the bottom of your screen, depending on what your screen looks like, there's a Q&A feature. We'd prefer if you would ask your questions in the Q&A, not the chat. That will help us stay organized and keep everything so that we don't miss it, hopefully. And if there's too many questions, please feel free. You'll see our contact information at the end. Reach out to us with those questions so we can answer you one-on-one. As you're coming up with questions, please consider the fact, two things. One, this is recorded, so please don't put any personal information that you don't want in the recording or any questions that might have some personal details in them. And also try not to have your questions be super specific to your book or your submission or anything like that. Try to ask more general questions that would apply to the whole group. We are recording this. The recording has already started. Please stay muted. I don't think you're going to have a choice. I think we have the power to permanently mute you, so that might not be a problem. And last, I wanted to introduce Audrey. Carlyn and I are the co-hosts for this, but Audrey is also joining us. She is from the BookBub team as well, and she will be helping us moderate. So she'll be keeping an eye on everything, and she'll be helping to sift through all the Q&As and stuff while we are busy delivering the content. So we're going to kick it off here. I'll introduce myself first. My name is Will. I'm the head of Findaway Voices, and I have been in the audiobook industry for over 8 years now. I love audiobooks. I listen to about a book a week. And we've built Findaway Voices as kind of the self-publishing arm of Findaway. So, you know, as I say, I've been in the audiobook industry for 8 years. You may know that Findaway Voices has only been around for about 3 years. Well, that's because I actually work for Findaway, which is a larger company. Findaway Voices is one brand and product of Findaway. So if you're not familiar with Findaway Voices, we'll be talking about that more later. But that's who I am, and I'm excited to be here. I'll pass it off to Carlyn now.
Right. Hi, everyone. I'm Carlyn. I am responsible for education and marketing at BookBub and Chirp as well. I've been with BookBub for about 5 years now, so I've watched it grow from just featured deals into the business it is today with a whole suite of marketing tools, and also gotten to see the launch of Chirp, which is really exciting. So very excited that you all could join us. Will and I have been saying that we've really missed conferences this year, so it's great to have a chance to connect with all of you and get to spend some time chatting about these tools. So let's get into it. So what we're going to cover today, quick introduction to Chirp and Findaway Voices for any of you who aren't familiar with who we are, what we do, and why we're here together for this webinar. And then I'm going to spend a good chunk of time talking about our Chirp audiobook deals. So this is the daily email we send out to Chirp members with discounted audiobooks. We're going to talk about the submission process to get your books featured in those emails, as well as some tips to make sure that your submissions are as competitive as possible. And then we have a couple tactics we want to share about how to boost your Chirp deal results. So some tools both on the BookBub side and on the Findaway Voices side that you can use to give yourself the best chance to sell as many of your books on Chirp as possible. Then we'll share a couple case studies of authors who have used those tactics successfully. And then again, we'll have plenty of time for questions at the end, and we'll pause throughout too to check in with Audrey, who's keeping an eye on our Q&A, to make sure we can address stuff that's relevant sort of as we're going through. All right, so to start, who are we? So Chirp is BookBub's audiobook retailer. BookBub is one of the top ebook deal promotion sites. I think most people are familiar with it in the self-publishing world. And so we've been really focused on ebooks. Like I said, BookBub's actually been around for 8 years now. But our members on the BookBub side have been asking for audiobook deals for a really long time. And so last year we launched Chirp as a way to serve limited time audiobook deals to our member base. I was really excited about that. So Chirp is a complete audiobook retailer. We've got limited time deals, and that's really what we focus on surfacing to our members, but we do have a complete audiobook catalog as well. So full priced audiobooks, self-published, traditionally published audiobooks. Almost every audiobook that's not exclusive to another retailer can be purchased on Chirp. And we have over 1 million members signed up to get those daily Chirp emails right now. So on the member side, when someone signs up for Chirp, it's completely free. There are no subscription fees to be a part of Chirp, which is a very different model from other audiobook retailers. So every audiobook that a member purchases is a la carte. They get those deals via email. So when they sign up, they actually let us know which audiobook genres they like to listen to. And then every day get new discounted audiobooks in those genres to their inbox. And then they can also, of course, browse the website, search for any other title. And the biggest difference between Chirp and BookBub, for those of you that are familiar with the BookBub feature deals, is that all of the deals we advertise in the Chirp emails can be purchased directly on the Chirp website. Because Chirp's a retailer, we're not linking out to other retailers like we do for BookBub, where our members can get the ebook deals on Amazon, Kobo, Barnes & Noble, Apple. So everything is for sale on the Chirp site. And then our members can listen through our Chirp mobile app or the web player on the website as well. So for authors, the way that you get your audiobooks listed on Chirp is through Findaway. So Findaway is the exclusive distributor to Chirp right now. So if you self-publish your audiobooks, you get them onto Chirp via Findaway Voices. And if you have titles available through a traditional audiobook publisher, as Will mentioned, Findaway is a much bigger company. So traditional publishers are using Findaway as well. So your traditional audiobooks will be on the Chirp site in addition to self-published titles. When you're working with us and running promotions, you're actually going to submit everything through your BookBub partner dashboard. So even though Chirp is a different brand and looks like a completely different website, it is a completely different website for our users. We keep everything in one place for the authors and publishers that we're working with, just to make things easier for you. So all of your Chirp promotional tools are going to be in your BookBub partner dashboard, audiobook and ebook tools in there together, and you'll work directly with the BookBub partners team, so Audrey and I and our colleagues, for any questions and support that you need throughout the process. I'll turn it back over to Will to tell you all more about Findaway Voices.
All right, so Findaway Voices. Like I mentioned earlier, we've been around for about 3 years. Carlyn, if you want to go to the next slide for me here. But let's talk about audiobook growth here, because the audiobook industry has been growing. We've got 8-year trend of double-digit revenue growth. Most recently in 2019, we saw 16% growth across the industry. That's really exciting. It's awesome. But what a lot of people don't realize is that if this is the whole industry, right? We submit our data to this. All the publishers submit our data to this. So 16% growth is great, but we're seeing really rocket ship growth with indies. We published our 2019 headphone report this year. We saw 220% growth in the fantasy genre, 155% growth in sci-fi. Check that out. We'll put links to this as we send it out to you. But check out the headphone report. It shows a lot of data about just specifically indies and small publishers, which is who we deal with. We released some data for the first time to show the growth there. So if you're thinking about audiobooks, there's never been a better time. You can catch the wave and ride this. We're seeing incredible growth, and this has stayed through the pandemic. The pandemic's actually been very kind to audiobooks and digital books in general. And we've seen great growth in the library systems. We've been seeing great growth, especially in places like Chirp with highly discounted deals. So next slide, I'll talk a little bit more about Findaway Voices. We are the world's largest network of audiobook sellers. Right now, we work with about 43 different retail and library partners. It gets you everywhere in the world that audiobooks are sold. There's basically nothing that's not on this list, although there's a few more coming. I'm going to tease you with that. There's a few more. Our network is growing, and we're making some changes in the next couple months. You'll be seeing some fun announcements from us, so that's growing a little bit more. We do two things, really. We distribute your audiobook. You can kind of think of us as like the Drafted Digital for audiobooks. You upload your audiobook in one place, and we send it out everywhere. And then we collect all the sales reports and make it real nice and easy and report and pay to you every month. But if you don't have an audiobook, we can also help you produce an audiobook from scratch. We work with over 8,000 narrators in the industry. We can help match you up with the perfect one. We take a really curated approach where we learn about your book. You get a casting agent, and we put together a personalized list of just 5 or 10 narrators out of those 8,000 that we think would be a perfect fit for your audiobook. And it's a really personalized, awesome approach. I like to say, if you don't know how to make an audiobook, this is the best way to make an audiobook, because we take all of the questions out of the process and guide you through every step of the way. If you're uploading a finished audiobook to us, there's no upfront cost. There's no fee for title or anything like that, no monthly fee. The way we stay in business is we have a 20% distribution fee. So the more you make, the more we earn. You keep 80% of all of the royalties you earn, and it's really simple like that. All of the incentives are aligned. We want your book to sell as much as possible. Some really cool things that we do, we help you control your list price, which means you're setting the list price that your royalty is calculated off of. If you set your list price to $10 and Google decides to sell it for $8, you're still getting paid your royalty off that $10. We also let you run limited time promotion prices, which is critical to this webinar right here. We're going to be talking about that a lot and demoing that. So you can take your base list price, but you can take a temporary discount and discount it just on a single retailer for a period of time. Price is obviously a very impactful marketing lever that has never been open to the audiobook world before we came along. So it's a really exciting thing there. And also, we work with authors all over the world. If you're familiar with ACX, you probably know that if you're not in the US, Canada, Ireland, or the UK, you're kind of out of luck. If you want to get to Audible, you can still sign up with us. If you're in any of those other countries, we can get your audiobook everywhere in the world. That's just a little bit about Findaway Voices. You can visit our website at findawayvoices.com for more, but this isn't really what you're here to hear about. So I'm going to pass it back to Carlyn now.
All right, so let's dive into Chirp audiobook deals now that we've got information about sort of the baseline of our businesses and what we do. So these deals are the primary way to promote your audiobooks to Chirp members right now. And in order to have an audiobook deal featured in one of the daily emails, you submit it to our Chirp editorial team for review. So again, for those of you familiar with BookBub's featured deals, it's going to be kind of similar. So we select the audiobooks that we think are going to be the best fit for our Chirp members' tastes in each of the different genres that we have on the website. So I'm going to walk through the submission process and then share some tips on how to give your audiobooks the best chances of getting selected for these emails. So there's a very simple submission form in your BookBub partner dashboard that you submit when you want to have an audiobook deal considered for a feature in one of these emails. So you'll see a section called Chirp audiobook deals, pretty straightforward, and then a very simple form. So I'm going to walk through kind of all the information that we collect from you in that form, so you have a sense for what we're looking for from you there. So the first step is just to select the book that you want to promote. The only eligibility requirement that we have for these deals is that your book has to be for sale on Chirp. So once you've distributed it through Findaway, it will be available for sale on Chirp. You can always double check by searching the Chirp website, but when you search in this field here too, we'll pull in any books that we have in the Chirp catalog for you to submit. And we're scheduling deals up to 2 months in advance. So if you were to submit a deal today, we would schedule it sometime in October or November. And then on October 1st, we're going to open up our December calendar. So calendars open up 2 months sort of rolling basis that we're scheduling those deals. So you've got some time to plan ahead if you want to have a deal featured. And you indicate in the submission form which category you would like your deal to be featured in. So on Chirp right now, we've got an editor's pick genre. We have general fiction, which encompasses literary fiction, women's fiction, historical fiction right now. We've got mysteries and thrillers, romance, science fiction and fantasy, classics, kids and young adult, nonfiction, history, and Christian fiction and nonfiction. So for those of you, again, familiar with BookBub, this is a much smaller list right now. We've got over 40 different categories and subgenres available on BookBub. So definitely starting small on Chirp while our audience is still growing, but we definitely hope to split out further subgenres here as our audience grows and expands. So you select the category you think is the best fit for your book. And then you also select all of the deal prices that you're interested in. So if the editors select your book for a deal, they're also going to recommend the deal price that they think will be most successful for your particular book and the category that we're going to feature it in. One thing you'll note here is that the lowest price available is 99 cents, and that is because we don't feature any free books on the Chirp website. So it'll actually just, it's still in the catalog if your book is free, but it'll disappear. It won't be visible to readers. So make sure that when you're running your discounts, it's always 99 cents or higher. And what the editors are looking for when they choose your deal prices is a combination of the length of the book, the category that we're featuring you in, since our different readers in those different genres actually have different levels of price sensitivity, Factors like your narrator, any awards you've won can all play into their decision about which of these prices we think is going to get you the most sales. So if your book is selected, that's it for the submission form. Like I said, very simple, very straightforward. So if the editors select your deal, we will come back to you and let you know the email date we've scheduled you for and the deal price that we recommend. We absolutely encourage you to let us know if either of those details is not quite what you were hoping for, or doesn't work with your plans. We always want to make sure that the promotional tools that we set up for you are going to align with your own marketing plans. So once you confirm that email date and the deal price, we take care of the rest. So we write a short blurb for you that will go in the email, just telling our members a little bit about your audiobook. And then we actually arrange the discount directly with Findaway for your books that are selected for Chirp audiobook deals. So Will said he's going to teach you how to set up your own limited time deals. This is not what you want to do if you're selected for a Chirp audiobook deal. We take care of it for you. So you don't have to worry about anything. You can just wait for the deal to go live. So most of these deals are going to be available on the Chirp website for a full month. And most of our partners actually see 30% of their sales on that first day when we send out the deal in our emails. Tons of Chirp members will see it. And then 70% of the sales trickle in over the rest of the month. So we see really fantastic organic discovery of the deals on the website. And again, even though Chirp has a complete audiobook catalog, we're really focused on making sure that those deals get visibility, because that's what our members are there for and really excited about. And the last thing is that there's no fee to have your book featured in one of these emails right now. So we, on the BookBub side, do charge a fee to have a book sent out as a featured deal. But for Chirp, there's no additional fee to have your book included in one of these emails. Though I will note that as we grow, we might introduce a fee in the future for featured spots, either in the emails or on the Chirp site. But for the foreseeable future, we're not going to charge anything to have your book promoted out to our members. All right, I'm going to pause for a sec because I see we've got some questions coming in. Audrey, do we want to cover anything right now about that submission process before we move on?
Yeah, I think there are a handful of questions that we could answer right now. First is, how long does the selection process typically take?
Oh, great question. So we try to get back to you within 2 weeks. Hopefully it'll be a little bit quicker than that usually. But if it's been 14 days and you haven't heard back from us, definitely shoot us an email and let us know, and we'll check in on that. And that's a little bit longer of a window than we have on the BookBub side because our promotional calendar is a little bit longer as well. So the featured deals, we get back to you in 7 days because we've got the calendar open for the upcoming 30 days. Because we've got that 2-month scheduling window, we need a little bit longer just to make sure that we're reviewing all of the submissions coming in.
Awesome. And on a similar note, if the calendar does open up on October 1st, say, should authors be applying on that day? And if they're not selected, can they then submit again the following month? So say November 1st.
Great questions. Yeah. I would say don't read too much into that, like you must submit on October 1st, new calendar opening up. It's a little bit more, it's not necessarily like you're going to have a better chance of getting selected if you're submitting right at that day, because the editors know that we have a full month to fill up, and we take those 2 weeks to wait and see how many other submissions are coming in. I'm seeing some questions too about selection, and we're going to get into that in a second. So I would say don't sweat when you submit too much. Think about for your own marketing goals when you want to have your deal featured, and then just submit about 2 months in advance, typically, of the time that you really want to have that deal sent out to Chirp members. And you can resubmit as well. I'll talk about that more in a moment.
Awesome. I think one more that fits in here, if accepted, how frequently can you submit a deal to Chirp?
Oh, great question. Audrey, I might need you to help me out with this one. Is it 6 months? Is it the same as on BookBub, or do we have a shorter window on Chirp right now?
It's about 6 months. We don't stick to quite as strong a timeline at this point, just because we are growing fairly quickly still. But we are trying to keep some distance just so that even audiobooks that are run more than once are still seeing great results.
All right, thank you. So let's get into submission tips and selection here. So the reason that we don't select every book that gets submitted to us is because we want to keep a limited number of deals that we send out to our Chirp members in those daily emails. mainly to make sure that we're keeping our members engaged, we're not overwhelming them with too many options, and we're ensuring as successful a promotion as possible for our partners who are featuring their books. So what that means is the editors are having to make some tough choices because we receive far more submissions than we have space available in each of our genres in those daily emails. So I want to talk about some ways that you can make sure your submissions are as competitive as possible to give yourself the best chance of getting selected for one of those features. And I want to start by just giving an overview of what the editorial team is looking for when they review these submissions. The first thing is content fit. And this is really probably the most important factor to this process. Basically, we want to make sure that any book we send out to our Chirp members is one that they will be really excited to purchase. So is it a good fit for the taste of the unique audience of audiobook listeners we have signed up to each of our genres? We don't want to be sending our Chirp members deals that are for books that maybe they're not as excited about. We do know that there are particular subgenres, tropes, and trends in each of our genres that are more popular with our Chirp member base than others. So while we're always, of course, testing things out and trying new types of books to see what our members are going to respond to, we always want to make sure that we're sending them books that we're confident they'll enjoy, because that keeps them opening their emails, coming back and buying more books, and again, makes for as successful promotions as possible for the authors and publishers that we're working with. So first thing is just, is this the type of book that we know our members are looking for? Then the editors look at the book and the author platform. And the platform includes everything that a reader or a listener might be looking at when they are evaluating whether or not they want to purchase a book. So this includes the book cover, the book description, reader reviews, trade publication reviews, blurbs by other authors that you might have gotten for that particular book or just on your writing in general, and any awards or accolades that a book or an author has won. And then audio quality is, of course, really important here as well. So the editors will listen to samples to make sure that the audiobooks we're featuring sound really good. If you're creating your audiobooks with Findaway, you're not going to have a problem with that. And lastly, the narrator is another really important factor here, mainly because we know that narrator can actually be a significant part of our listeners' decisions on whether or not to click and purchase a book. So if you have a narrator with some name recognition, whether it's because they're an actor that our listeners might know, or if they narrate a lot of books in your genre and you know they've got name recognition within your genre, or if they've won any awards for audiobooks they've done, those are some other signals that the editors look for that are signals that a book is going to perform really well with our Chirp member base. All right, so given that that's what they are looking for, what can you do to increase your chances that your submissions will get selected? First tip, be flexible with your deal price. So we give you the option to select from a few different deal prices. We definitely encourage you to choose as many of those as you would be open to discounting your book to. And mainly that's because that gives us the opportunity to really match up each book with the price and the genre that we think is going to be most successful. So again, we know that for particular genres, our readers have different levels of price sensitivity. So we can pick the deal price that we think is going to make for the most successful deal for you. Cover is really important here. So not only do you want to have a professionally designed cover that's optimized for your particular genre, you want to make sure that the cover is designed specifically for the audiobook edition. It is a different size and shape than the ebook covers, so you don't want to just kind of squeeze your ebook cover design into a square for the audiobook. So when you get your covers designed, just make sure that you're talking to your cover designer and getting an image for the audiobook as well as the ebook. And increasing your reader reviews is another thing you can do to help give your book a better chance of getting selected. And this is both because the reader reviews give our editorial team a lot of context about your book, and because we've seen that our listeners respond really well to books that have been well reviewed by other readers. Unsurprisingly, readers like stuff that they know other readers have liked. So our editors are actually looking at reviews across different platforms and formats. So we know that audiobook editions tend not to have quite as many reviews as ebook or paperback editions. So don't worry if you only have reviews on one and not the other. They're going to take a look at all of those. But they are especially interested in reviews for the audiobook edition that mention anything about the sound quality or the narration, because that's really important to us. Oh, and I should also note, actually, so when we're looking at reader reviews, it's not just the overall review count or the average rating. The editors do dig into the content of those reviews because, again, they're really focused on hearing how other readers have responded to a particular book, to an audiobook, to get a sense for whether our audience of listeners is going to respond in similar ways, if the reviews highlight things that we know our readers really like. So that's what they're looking for when they look at the reviews. It's not just the total number. And there's no minimum review count as well. That's kind of a persistent rumor on the BookBub side. So same is true on Chirp. It doesn't matter how many reviews you actually have, we're always going to consider your book, but more reviews can only help. Okay, so another tip is subscribe to your genre on Chirp and keep an eye on the books that we're featuring. This will be a good way to give you a sense for what books are getting selected, especially because we've got really broad genres right now, to get a sense for which particular subgenres and tropes are popular with the Chirp member base. And we'll hopefully give you a sense for what kinds of books they're responding well to, might even actually shape which of your books out of your catalog and your backlist you choose to submit. And lastly, and this gets back to the question we just had, you can resubmit each book once every month, and we strongly encourage this. It's not going to be a bother to us. The editors aren't going to be frustrated to see your book come back again. This is actually the best tip that we can give for increasing the likelihood that you get selected, because every single time you submit, if you wait a full month, we've opened up a new month of calendar space and we've got a whole new batch of submissions coming in. So part of the submission process is a comparison of all of the submissions we have at any given time, because we have that limited amount of deal space, making sure that we select, of all the books available to us, only the handful at that time that we think are going to be the most successful, perform best with our members. So when you submit 1 month later, your book's going to be compared to a completely different pool of audiobooks in your genre, and you might stack up a different way against those other submissions that we're reviewing at that point. So we do ask that you wait a full month, because that just gives it enough time that things will change enough that there will be a significant difference in that review process and those selection criteria. But yes, we definitely encourage you to resubmit each month if your books aren't getting selected. And if you submit one title and it's not selected, you can immediately submit a different title. So I'll pause again because I see we've got some questions coming in. So questions about the selection process here.
Let me see. One question we got here is, do you listen to the narration sample when you're evaluating submissions, or is it only based on other criteria?
Yes, the editors are going to listen to samples just to get a sense, again, for that audio quality and the narrator quality. Yes.
Awesome. Let me see, trying to organize these. Is there an option to have a deal for a series or a box set, or is it only standalone books?
Good question. I believe we are featuring box sets, and great question about discounting the full series. That's going to be something that we talk a lot about in a little bit, but yes, you can submit box sets.
Awesome. Oh, here's a question. Where should we be getting our audiobook reviews to have them considered for Chirp submissions? Is it only on Chirp itself or other storefronts as well?
Other storefronts are fine too. So we do have reviews on Chirp. Certainly we're going to encourage you to get Chirp members to review, and we're doing a lot on our end as well after a Chirp user has finished listening to a book, encouraging them to review just to build that up on our own site. But the editors are looking at all of the storefronts to see the reviews there. So anywhere that you're growing your reviews is going to be helpful. Yeah.
Awesome. Does the length of the book matter? Is there a minimum length?
Great question on the minimum. There might be a specific minimum. I'm not exactly sure what it is. In general, we do prefer deals that are a little bit longer. So certainly if you have a novella, you can try submitting that. I would say it's more likely to be featured at the 99-cent, $1.99 range. But I think we do have a preference for full-length novels for the email deals.
Okay, and are you able to edit the price choices that you've made after you have already made your submission?
Not at the moment. You can always email us if you want to make any changes or additions, and we can go back and edit your submission on our end, but there's not a way to go back and edit the form once you've submitted it.
Awesome. We have a good number of other questions, but I think I'll probably let you guys keep going and we can jump back into these after a little bit.
Okay, sounds good. And we can circle back to more questions about selection at the end as well. That's not the end of the time to chat about that. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about how you can boost your deal results once you have gotten selected. So there's two tactics that we really recommend that we're going to cover today. The first one is discounting other titles via Findaway Voices during your Chirp deal. And there we go. And the second one is running BookBub ad campaigns through BookBub's self-serve auction ad platform to target Chirp members to boost sales both of your deal and the other titles that you've discounted. So this first tactic is one that you can use both to maximize sales of any books that have been selected for Chirp deals or to generate sales on your own. So again, this is something that you can do for any one of your books at any time, as long as it's not selected for a Chirp deal, to arrange your own discount and run your own promotions. So this should be a tactic that anyone can take advantage of. So specifically, if you have a book that's been selected for a Chirp deal, we definitely recommend that you lower prices on your other books to increase the sell-through. So we found that if you set up tiered pricing for books in a series, so let's say the first book is 99 cents or $1.99, maybe you set book 2 at $2.99, book 3 at $4.99, and so on from there. Or discounting a similar standalone title, there's going to be a much higher number of Chirp members who purchase those other books when they purchase your book that has the deal. And in terms of prices, we've seen that if an author's other books are priced below $5, they're going to see an average of 4 times as more sales during the Chirp deal than if the books are priced above $5. So unsurprisingly, the steeper the discount, the more sales that you're going to drive. So we've built a number of different features on the Chirp platform to help our readers discover other books by the authors whose books they're purchasing. So if someone has book number 1 in a series in their shopping cart, we're going to display the other books in the series somewhere prominent for them to see it. So if you've got that low price on those other books, there's a higher chance that readers will click on your other books and purchase them when they've already gotten attention on one of your books from the original discount. So we've already got some tools in place, and we're definitely hoping to add more visibility for follow-on sales over time. So here's an example of a series that did this strategy. So we sent this first book to our general fiction subscribers in mid-August. And during the month of August, we sold over 1,500 copies of this first book, and then 100 copies each of book 2 and book 3, which were discounted down to $4.99. So how do you lower the prices of the books that are not selected for the Chirp deals? I'm going to flip that back over to Will to tell you guys about the Findaway Voices promotional pricing tool.
All right. Well, let's talk about the mechanics on how to do this. So I want to reinforce one thing. If you get selected for a featured deal, this is not what you do. This is for the rest of the books in the series that are not the featured deal, but you want to tag on the price discount. So on the next slide, I'm going to go over some of the basic constraints that we have. We call this a promotional price because it's not your set list price. It's a temporary list price that's overtaking your set list price on a certain retailer. So next slide, please. Thank you. This is what it looks like on the right. We're going to go through a demo here in just a second. This is a limited time promotion. You can't do more than 30 days at a time, but it's totally fine to put things back to back. So you can go September 1st to September 30th, and then start something right on October 1st and do another one. No problem there. We need at least 1 week to validate everything and get it out to the retailers. So it can't start less than a week from today. So plan ahead when you're doing this. And specifically on Chirp, I want to mention Chirp does filter out free content. So we won't let you go lower than 99 cents on your limited time discount here. And we only support 2 retailers, Apple and Chirp on this at the moment. More are coming. Apple is fine with free content. Chirp is not. So it kind of depends on your selections, the logic that we apply there. So on the next slide, I'm going to show you a video that goes real quickly, just 30 seconds, and goes through the process. We can start at any time. You'll see on the left-hand side, we have the marketing tab. That's where you're going to go for your catalog. You're on the promotional pricing screen. There's a green button in the top right to add a promo. First, you're going to name your promotion. This is just for your reference. This is not a coupon code or anything. You're going to search for the audiobook in your catalog. It has to be published already in order to show up here. And then you're going to choose which retailer you want to apply the discount to. In this case, it's going to be Chirp. And we remind you again, if you got a featured deal, We're going to take care of everything. Don't use this form for that. Use this for the other books that are not featured. You can set your sale price, and you can set it in two ways. One, you can just set the raw price, or you can set a discount. So if your retail price is $12 and you do 50% off, it's going to be $6. The nice thing about that is if you were to go and change your base price from $12 to $10, then your promotional list price then like shifts down to $5 because it's going to be 50% off whatever that is. Most of the time here when you're doing this kind of thing, you're probably making some collateral and stuff where you want it to be a set price. So I would recommend the set price option first. And then, of course, my demo got a little away from me here, but you're going to set your start and end date and confirm one last time. And then it's going to show up in your scheduled promotions tab after that. When it's actually active, when it's the date range, it'll show up in the active tab. And then when it's gone, it'll show up in the past promotions tab. And that just keeps everything organized for you. That did shift around recently. So if you haven't been there in a while and it looked a little different, that's why we're always making improvements. And hopefully that will help. Back to you, Carlyn.
All right, thanks, Will. Audrey, any questions about that process before we move on?
Yes, we do have one question asking if you're able to select both retailers when you're setting up a short-term promotion.
No, you used to be able to, but we switched it around. So you'll have to choose one per promotion, but they can overlap. Like you can set up an Apple promotion for the same time as a Chirp promotion. They can have slightly different dates. They can have slightly different prices. No problem there. So there's no trouble to overlap them, but you are going to need to create two. And that's because each retailer has kind of their own quirks and different restrictions. And we want to be able to warn you about each one of those as you're going through the process.
Awesome. And another question, will Findaway be adding metrics to gauge promo effectiveness for these limited time promotions?
So the promotions show up in your dashboard. Chirp is one of our real-time partners, so you'll see sales there within 5 minutes on your My Sales tab that shows up right away. And you'll see there is a column for if a promotion was used. So you'll be able to kind of slice and dice your data. It's also in your official reports. It'll show whether a promotion was used on any given sale. And so you can use that to kind of crunch the numbers yourself. As far as, ROI is a bit of a personal calculation depending on how much you invested in the audiobook. And so we don't do any metrics like that, but we try to give you the tools and expose the data so that you can crunch the numbers yourself there.
Great. And one more here. Can we do promotions for several books in a series at the same time?
Yes. Yep, no problem with that. As long as they're all published through Findaway Voices, you can set them up.
Great.
All right, let's get going here through the second tactic, make sure we can get through everything, and then we'll loop back to more questions. So second tactic is to use our BookBub Ads platform to promote your discounted audiobooks to get additional visibility for those books once they are discounted. So for those of you who aren't familiar, the BookBub Ads platform is our self-serve auction ad platform. So we've got dedicated space for ads at the bottom of every BookBub email we send out and every Chirp email. So in the auction, you bid to reach readers in your set target audience. And every single time a reader opens their email, our auction runs to determine which of all the ads in our system has the highest bid. And that winning ad is the one that wins the impression in that email. So one impression on our platform equals one open email or one reader's eyes on your ad. And this is our most flexible promotional tool. There's no requirements. There's no editorial selection process. So it gives every author the opportunity to promote any one of their books to our audience at any time. You've got some fantastic narrow targeting options. So in addition to reaching our readers based on their preferred genres, you can also reach them based on their author interests, which is a super powerful tool, and retailer preferences. And again, really flexible. So you can use this to promote new releases, your first in series, discounted audiobooks, full priced audiobooks, box sets, novellas, any book content, ebook, audiobook, even print if you wanted, could be promoted with this tool. So I want to talk specifically about how you can use this platform for your Chirp books. And again, ads really give you the chance to promote your audiobooks outside of that Chirp Deals email. So when your deal is live for the entire month, if you're selected for a Chirp deal, you can keep up that momentum by running ads during the entire month that it's discounted to get more visibility than just the one day we send out the email. You can retarget any Chirp members who click on your deal to promote another book. I'll tell you more about that tactic in a second. And again, anyone can use these ads and the promotional tool that Will just walked you through to run your own discount on a first in series audiobook or a standalone audiobook and promote it to Chirp members at any time. Again, as long as it's not free, because then it'll disappear. So 99-cent plus discounts. Just a quick example here. These are two ads that author J.J. Sherwood ran during his Chirp deal. And once he set these up, he drove an additional 200 sales from these ads on top of what he was getting from the organic discovery and from the email that we sent out for that Chirp deal. So I'm going to walk you through the process to create these campaigns, but this is going to be a pretty high level overview, and I'm mainly going to focus on tips for Chirp ads. So if you are newer to this platform or to running display ads, I'd encourage you to check out our video tutorial on our blog, and I'll share a link to that at the end. We've got a ton of information and resources on there about how to create these campaigns, tips for how to make them as successful as possible. So if any of this is confusing, we've got a lot more resources for you to learn more about this particular tool. So again, you're going to go to your BookBub partner dashboard to set up a campaign. There's a BookBub Ads section. When you click create a new ad, there's a simple form to fill out. We did design this ad platform exclusively for authors and publishers and book marketers to promote their books. So hopefully it's going to be a pretty straightforward process, a little bit simpler and more streamlined than other ad platforms that are designed for people to promote any kind of thing. So first step, of course, when you're promoting a Chirp book for the reading format, you want to target audiobook listeners. Next step in the form is just to choose the book that you want to promote. This is optional, but it does pull in the links for you automatically. So if you search for a Chirp title, we'll just pull in that URL for you so you don't have to go hunt it down yourself. And it also makes it easy for you to sort all of your campaigns by a single title when you come back to look at the results. And then you add your creative image. So the image is all that a reader is going to see at the bottom of the email, just the image that you upload. So it's a really critical part of the campaign. You've got two options here. You can either design and upload your own creative. There are a ton of fantastic tools out there to help you do that. Or we've got a really simple template here that you can just type in text, upload your cover, and we'll design it for you right in the form. So some examples of successful Chirp ad images here. You can see an example of an ad designed using that creative builder on the right. So this one here. So again, you upload the cover, enter the text that you want for that blurb, and on that button. We've got a ton more examples on our blog and also a lot of tips for designing your images, but a couple things I want to highlight for ads promoting Chirp books. One is including a deal price is going to dramatically increase your clicks and conversion rates. So the number of readers who click on the ad and then actually purchase the book you're promoting. So unsurprisingly, 99 cents and $1.99 prices get the highest clicks and conversions, but even just the word sale or discount can actually increase clicks and conversions over not including any information about the price. So unsurprisingly, Chirp members are excited about deals, including things to indicate that it's definitely an audiobook that you're promoting. So headphone images, the word audiobook, a listen now, call to action. And then if you have a recognizable narrator, mentioning them can help. So you see that in the ad on the right. This author has mentioned her narrator for her romance book. Someone who's well known in the romance world might catch the attention of readers in her audience who have heard of that narrator before. And similarly, any blurbs you have from recognizable authors in your genre can also be a great thing to include in your ad image as sort of a hook to capture the attention of readers who see your ads. Okay, and then you enter your retailer links. So the link that when a reader clicks on that ad, where they end up, and you have to use a Chirp URL for your ad to be eligible to appear in these Chirp emails. So you can enter links for actually any other audiobook retailer, for your own author website, but any ad that has a link that's not a Chirp URL is going to show up in the BookBub emails and on the BookBub website. We do have audiobook listeners actually, so we've started collecting that information from our BookBub members as well. So you will reach an audience, but it's going to be much smaller and it's not going to be the Chirp audience. So Chirp URL gets you in the Chirp emails. Then you get to select your targeting. So again, you've got the option to narrow your audience by genre interest and author interest. And combining the two of them means that you get the intersection. So readers who are subscribed to a certain category and interested in a particular author. And targeting an author means that you can reach any Chirp members who follow that author on BookBub. We've got data on our readers who are signed up to both services, so we use some of that crossing over. And also, and this is really fantastic, you can reach any Chirp members who have clicked on or purchased that author's books before. So this is a great tactic. If you've just had a Chirp deal, you can run an ad for another book and target yourself through that tool and target any Chirp members who clicked on that first book. You can also keep an eye on the authors that we're featuring on Chirp and use them as your ad targets, because you know that they have a lot of readers who just clicked on that deal who will be interested in their books, and then you can target them with your ads. So I'm going to go through these details quickly, but again, a lot more information. Two options just to set up your schedule and your budget. Your budget is just the overall amount that you want to spend. And then you set up a bid as well. We've got two bidding options, and the budget determines how much you spend, but the bid determines how competitive your ad will be in the auction and the rate that you're going to pay to reach those readers. I could do a whole presentation on the bidding. I'm going to just skip past it now to make sure we get to the case studies here and more of your questions. But again, lots more information. So if you want any more information on this tool, definitely contact us and we can send you more resources to dig into all those details. So last tip is basically running tests to make sure that all of those elements that you customized and set up are working and delivering the results that you want. So results update every hour in your dashboard. You can set up A/B tests, so run multiple campaigns, change one thing between them, and then compare the results to see what worked best. A great way to compare different images or different targets. We always recommend starting with low budgets, especially if you're new to auction-based ads. $10 is a great place to start. That'll get you enough results to figure out if your campaign's working for you. And then when you're happy with the results, you can increase your budgets and start to spend a little bit more. And this is where you go for more resources. So www.insights.bookbub.com is our blog. And we've got a whole section on BookBub ads there with tons of tips, examples, case studies of what other authors have done that have worked. So that's a great place to go to learn more. Quick summary of everything we've gone over, and then we'll get to all of your questions. So promote your discounted Chirp books with BookBub ads to increase the sales and visibility, whether it's a official Chirp featured deal where we've dropped the price or one that you've set up on your own through Findaway. And again, drop the prices of books that aren't that primary featured book to boost your sell-through, especially if you've got books in a series. And all of your discounts have to be 99 cents or higher, no free deals here. Okay, let's dive back into the questions.
All right, so we have a ton of questions here. So I don't think we're going to be able to quite get to all of them, but I am going to prioritize the questions that are really focused on deals and how you can maximize those, since that's what we're really working on here. One, we have a ton of questions about genres specifically and submitting, so making sure that you're submitting for the right genre. People are wondering, are you able to submit to more than one genre? And if my book sort of straddles the line between a couple that we have, what is the best strategy there?
Yeah, great question. So you can only submit to one genre, and I would say don't sweat that selection too much. Pick the one that you think is going to be the best fit, and our editorial team will always let you know if they think a different one of our genres is going to be a better fit. So similar to BookBub, we're actually not super focused on the strict genre definitions. When we select a book for one category or another, we're really more interested in what the unique audience that we have signed up to that particular genre is most interested in. And we do sometimes see differences in what our unique member base likes versus sort of the larger genre as a whole. So we take that onto ourselves to make that decision about which list is the actual best fit for a book, because we've got all that information about our Chirp members. So don't sweat it, pick the category that seems best, and we'll always let you know if we think another one would be better for your book.
Awesome. And a related question, we had a couple people ask what the editor's pick is and if you're able to submit for it.
Great question. Thank you. I meant to cover that and zoomed right past it. So it's not one that you can submit to, but the editors are reviewing every submission coming in and picking a couple that they think have really broad appeal to send out to that editor's pick list. So it's analogous to the bestsellers list on BookBub. It's just books that we think are going to have broad reaching appeal sort of across a wider group of our Chirp members. So we'll always let you know if that's something that you've been selected for, but it's not an option to submit to.
Awesome. Also, a couple questions about how long a Chirp deal lasts. So the feature is only included in one email, but how long is the deal available, and will the book be only available on Chirp for a set period?
Yeah, good question. So the default that we run most deals when we're arranging it ourselves for a Chirp deal is 1 month. I believe if you'd prefer that it be shorter, you can definitely let us know and we'll set that up for you. But we default to 1 full month. So your Chirp books are on Chirp, available for sale at full price all the time. So when we drop the price, you get a little yellow banner that says limited time deal, and it'll show up in a few places on the website where we highlight those limited time deals. So 1 month, you'll have that discounted price available. When the deal expires, it'll go back up to full price and continue to be available for Chirp members to purchase. Did that cover all the pieces of that question?
Yes, I think
Okay,
so.
great.
So another bit, this is a bit of a pivot, and it's about pricing. So we had an author say that they're really just guessing when they set the base price of the list price for their audiobook. So can you guys share any guidance on how to best choose that list price?
Oh,
Yeah,
good question. Yeah, Will, do you want to jump in on that one?
Yeah, so right on the Findaway Voices site at the bottom of the metadata page, which is where you set your retail and library list price, we have a little button there, and we have a recommendation tool, because we heard this feedback so often that we decided to crunch the numbers, and we distilled a lot of data from the last 10 years down on, in each genre, what is the ideal price to drive the maximum number of revenue and units. And so if you have your audio uploaded, because the length of the audiobook is a very critical part of that equation, you'll be able to select the genre and get a range for both the retail and the library price of where we think it'll perform really well. And we kind of give you an upper and lower range, and then a recommended price that's usually around the middle. And of course, it's just a suggestion. It's just something to anchor you towards, and you can choose higher or lower, whatever feels right to you. But we had a lot of people who've just had no idea what to price it at. And remember, like a little bit of a tangent here, but the reason the prices look so high on Audible are because people are trading in a $15 credit for it, right? And so they need to make the prices look really high so that the $15 looks like a good deal. But when you're on other platforms, that's not the case, and people are paying outright for it. So I would not recommend setting your price to whatever Audible decided to sell it for. I would recommend starting with the price recommender tool and anchoring your decision from there.
Awesome. Thank you, Will. So we're running up on time here. I think we got time for just one or two more. Couple questions about Chirp and international. So will Chirp be available to listeners who are outside of the US and Canada?
Good question.
Oh, and actually going to tack on to that because there was one more. How about non-English language? So one specifically about German.
So Chirp's available to listeners in the US and Canada right now. We definitely hope to expand it to other English-speaking regions in the future, because BookBub's available also in the UK and Australia. So would love to keep expanding there. So yeah, we absolutely have plans in the future to keep growing Chirp. Right now, we're really focused on improving the experience for our existing members. Again, we're really focused on those follow-on sales for authors. So we're still making a lot of changes to the Chirp platform. Only a year old, little baby website, but we definitely want to have a broader international reach in the future. I don't think we have any plans for non-English language at the moment, but German is definitely, both for ebooks and audiobooks, the language I'm hearing the most about. So great to know that that's of interest, and we've definitely passed that along to our team. Maybe someday, but no plans right now for German. Yeah.
Awesome. And last one, just to wrap up with, Will this webinar be available again for listeners to find and learn more about all this information that we just shared?
Yes, fabulous question for wrapping up. We will email you a link to the recording of the webinar that you can access at any time. So I know we went quickly through some of these, so you can come back, listen at your leisure, watch that demo video again. Yes, we'll make that available to all of you. All right, so just to wrap things up, resources for both getting started and where to get more help in the future. So for setting up a Chirp deal or your ad campaign, you're going to go find your BookBub partner dashboard at partners.bookbub.com. And you can email any questions at any time to partners@bookbub.com. So again, the BookBub Partners team is managing everything on the author side for Chirp. There's no question too big or too small. We can help you with anything. So please do get in touch with us. And then Will, do you want to share information for Findaway?
Yeah, if you have a Findaway Voices account, you'll find that marketing tab on the left-hand side, or you can go to my.findawayvoices.com/marketing to set up those price promotions. And of course, our customer experience team is always available too at support@findawayvoices.com. Again, no question too big or too small.
Yeah, a whole bunch of questions that unfortunately had to go unanswered here, but just like Carlyn and Will said, everybody on both teams is super helpful and willing to answer them. So if we weren't able to get to your question today, really sorry about it. We really ran up on time here, but please do send it along.
Thanks to everybody for coming. This was awesome. Carlyn, you did a fantastic job.
Well, thank you.
This was so fun. I wish we could see everybody's faces and hear all of the rounds of applause that are happening inside everybody's heads right now for your presentation. Great job. And thanks to everybody for registering and coming to this.
Thanks, everyone.